Okay, cool. So what we're going to do first, though I think is very important, is we're going to typecast this to an integer. So that's done by pressing int and putting that in parentheses. That's very important. All right, so the next thing we're going to need to do is generate our computer input. And our computer input is either going to be 1, 2, or 3, because that's the way we're going to symbolize our moves. So first thing we need to do is import the random library. So I'm going to put this import statement up here. Import random is what I believe that is. Check. Yeah, right there. Okay, import random. Okay, so import random. So now we have access to all the random libraries. And what we're going to do is create a random integer between 1 and 3. So, actually, just let me check really fast how it's done. Okay, yeah, sorry. So we're going to use the random method, so the randint method, so computer input equals random dot randint 1, 3 inclusive. Everything's inclusive. So now we have a computer input. Actually, look, that's fantastic. Okay, so we have our user input and our computer input. So all we need to do now is compare them and then make a decision based on that. So we're going to have pretty much 3 copies of the same instances, or same code, sort of. Now, we could use these with methods, but for beginner purposes, we're just going to write it all out because that'll make it seem a lot easier. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to leave this is when true statement because that's going to be decided based on our if statements. Okay, so if, now let's just take a theoretical, okay? If user input, I'm going to put this all in parentheses, or some of it, so it just looks easier. User input equals, we're just using the equality check operator, equals 1, okay? And computer input equals 1, okay? Then the next line is when equals false. Sorry, just write 1 equals. And we're going to print something that says it's a tie, comma, you both, actually that'll be the semicolon, you both played rock. Okay, cool. And just analyzing this one segment of code we read so far. So let's just say that theoretically the random integer evaluates to 1 and the user inputs 1. So what the computer is going to do is it's going to execute the code under this if statement, and it's going to say is when right here is going to remain false. Okay, and that means that the code is going to run again after this segment terminates. Okay, and then it's going to say print it's a tie, you both played rock. So what it's going to do is it's going to tell you a little bit about the computer input, a little bit of user input, and it's not going to tell you who won the game yet because no one's won the game because it's a tie. Or actually, this technically that'd be a draw. Okay, cool. So now what about if user input equals 2 and computer input one. Right. So that means, according to our logic up here, and the computer played paper. I mean that the user played paper and the computer played rock. So that means that is when equals true. So our loop's going to terminate after this statement. We're going to print you win. Computer played paper. And then that's going to be the end of our game. Okay, cool. So you see that after we run this code, and I'm actually going to add a space here just so it looks nice. Oh, and your parentheses. So that looks a lot nicer. Okay, so now we have 2 instances of where stuff could happen. So instead of writing this over and over again, what we can do is we can just copy and paste the code and then modify it as we see fit. It's because we only really have 3 different cases where the user chooses a different thing and the computer picks the same thing. Alright, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, paste it right here. Alright, cool. So now we have another thing. So let's say that the user input equals 3 and the computer input equals 1. So that means that you play paper and the computer played rock. That means you lose. The computer played, or sorry, the computer played scissors. Alright, cool. So now we have a perfectly valid set of code, slew of code. We can just copy and paste, and that way we can just modify it as we see fit. So we can copy and paste. Cool. So we just do that. Alright, cool. So now we have a whole new set of instances. So let's say that the user's going to play rock in all these cases, or sorry, the computer's going to play paper now in all these cases. So it's paper, paper, and paper. Alright, cool. So if the user input over here, so if the user input equals 1 and the computer input equals 2, that means that you're playing rock and the computer plays paper, which means you lose. The computer played paper. And is when it's going to be equal true, because that's the end of the game, because the computer won. So this is going to be equal false here, because both the inputs are going to be the same, so it's going to be a draw. It's a draw. Computer played paper. Okay. So in this one, first things first, that's going to equal true, because there's going to be a win in this case. So you win. The computer played scissors. Alright, cool. So now we have another successful statement, another successful set of conditions. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this once more, and we're going to modify it this time. Alright, cool. So this time, the computer show is going to play paper for all these set of conditions. Alright, cool. So once again, I'm just going to modify the statements again. You guys should know the drill. So right here we have a 3 and a 3, so this is going to be false. It's going to be true. Because in the bottom case there's going to be a draw. In this case there's going to be a win of some kind. In this case there's going to be a win of some kind. Alright, so. Okay, so if the computer, so for the first instance where you play scissors on the computer, or you play rock and you can play scissors, it's going to be you win. Computer played scissors. Wait, I just realized that over here, maybe the computer played paper. Sorry. Yeah, mistake. Okay, cool, so now we have to fix that spelling mistake. So you win, the computer played scissors. This would be paper, so that would be you lose, the computer plays scissors in the second case. Alright, cool. Alright, and there we go. Cool, and then this is going to be right here. It's a draw, the computer played scissors. Alright, cool. So first thing we got to do before we run our code, run our game, is that we need to check for any errors. So scissors, 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 paper, paper, paper. Scissors, paper, rock. So these should all be rock, actually. Alright, cool. So now we're going to save that by pressing Command S or whatever, depending on what system you're using. And this should run. So let's play 3. Oh, look. So we have an error with the rand int, which is good. It's always good to have some errors, because that's what makes you a better programmer, fixing those errors. So in this little game I checked before, oh, see, it should be random.randrange13. So we just used the wrong method, which is a different random method. Alright, cool. So let's try this again. 3. Okay, so let's check this once more. Random.randrange. I'm actually just going to copy this because I know this code works. Let's run it. Cool. So this is just so our code works. That's good. So you lose computer played rock, and it wants to go again. So obviously there's an error here involving repetition of code, basically because isWin did not evaluate to false, or did not evaluate to true. So let's look at this section of the code. So the computer played rock. That's going to be one of these. So look, see, we have a double true statement here. Okay, so we have to realize that here. Okay, so if the user plays paper and the computer plays rock, then you should win. So it's got to be this one. Wait. No, actually, that is correct. Okay, cool. So. Wait, actually, no, it doesn't work. But the point is that the game works, and that we can go over it and we can fix out the errors. But the point is that the logic works, and this is how you generally create a game.